everybody. So we've got another video. I found if you're new to the channel, this is the podcast or YouTube channel where we go through the algorithm that FundyTube basically deals us up. And so what happens is that they I'm getting deep into the algorithm while just clicking like on all these like demon videos and stuff like that, where they're talking about how to exercise yourself, like get the demons out of yourself, stuff like that. I think yesterday I had one that was like about aliens being demons, a lot of demon stuff. A lot of people are freaked out by demons. I'm not really sure why, but I find it quite funny at the end of the day, honestly. So this one, honestly, it just sort of popped up. I'm not even actually sure what it is. I've watched like 2 seconds of it. It looked weird and looked new, looked like something I haven't covered before. So I wanted to try and do this one. It's called uh, FR Friar. I don't know what FR is. A Lampard. The devil knows who's working to defeat him, and he will attack those who longest title ever. I don't know what's going on, but like it doesn't even get to the point in like the first 10 words here. Like and then it's dot dot dot. So I honestly don't know what we're even in for. Like I said, I watched that a couple seconds and then moved on. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, bless.
You can stop praying
Off to a great start. I'm just saying that's solid, man.
now. You can stop praying. I said you can stop praying. And then Father Carmine reached over and took some holy water and blessed the person again. And then the demon.
Oh, yeah, cheers. Okay. No, that's all right. Oh, that's what that means. Okay. I wasn't sure. Thought that makes sense. All right. Yeah. I was like, friar? Isn't that a thing? I don't know. That's awesome.
Manifested and goes, I told you to stop praying.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to another video on Armor of God. As always, let me start by saying thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and hopefully you'll learn something from this. It's going to be a rather long video, but I've put together some important points shared by exorcists through their lectures and interviews you'll find interesting. I've placed the links to the full length of each audio clip shared, so feel free to check it out later on. Now buckle up and let's get on with this then. During one lecture at St. Matthew, the Catholic parish, on the subject of exorcism, Father Vincent Lampert explained that during an exorcism, the church is throwing the light of Jesus on the devil and his demons. And when that happens, they will always scurry away and flee.
It reminds me of that. I don't know if I love this movie. A lot of people tell me that it's really dumb and bad, and I'm sure they're right, but I really like it. It was called Darkness Falls, and it was about this it's about the tooth fairy. And she would come, and she could only come in the darkness, and she didn't want to be looked at. But it always just reminds me of in that movie. She like, they would shine the light on her, and she'd be like, ah! And it could like hurt her. But it just always makes me think of that when they're talking about, Jesus is shining light on the devil, and they get hurt and scurry away. Like either that, or I guess like Dusk Till Dawn. Maybe the end of Dusk Till Dawn. That's sort of similar too.
Anytime we were being attacked by the devil, we can also take what he's doing against us and use that to our advantage. But what does he mean by that?
What?
Whenever an enemy is attacking,
How do you know how do you do that? How do you like figure out what the devil like his tactics and then use it against him? What are you like? It reminds me of like some like karate movie where they have to like learn the other guy's moves so like they can counter it, and then they end up doing a big montage, and then they slowly get better, and then eventually they beat him in the end with some new kick or punch they learned or whatever.
where do they attack? At the perceived weakness in a person's defenses. So if you believe you're being attacked by the devil, then he's attacking what he perceives to be a weakness in your life.
Wow, they always say this like such basic weird stuff and then act like it's so profound. Like you're like, yeah, they attack you where you're weakest, So anything that you feel like you're not doing great at in life, the devil. That's what happened. That's because of the devil. That's not you. That's
You now
Wow,
know
man.
what you need to
Okay.
shore up in your spiritual life as a way to defeat the devil. So again, anytime the devil is attacking us, we can take what he's doing to us and use it to our advantage to grow in holiness and virtue. And finally,
How do you know if he's like attacking you though? Like it's so wow. Like it's just like there's no there's just like it's no fun. There's no fun ending. It's not like you see the devil going, "Oh man, you got me." Like you're just like, "I think I got him." I don't know. Like maybe we did, maybe we didn't. I don't know. I just, was that where I was weak? I don't know. I thought maybe that was where I was weak.
the devil does not possess any particular strength.
Oh, he said, Angier said, learn the moves of an imaginary adversary of their own creation must be a tough task. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, right? Jesus. Yeah, exactly. Oops. Oh, shit. I messed up. I messed up a thing. There we
If we are willing to resist him, we will see that his power was never more than a facade, and it will quickly crumble before us.
It's funny. I was sort of thinking about that about your God. So I'm just saying that just sounds like it sort of only has any power if you believe that it has power, that you can basically just attribute any just, I don't know, luck to your God being real, and it being responsible.
Demons have power. They can only be defeated by power. The power that defeats them is the power of God, and the ministry of exorcism is one of the ways that we call upon the power of God to defeat the devil and his
This
demons.
dude sounds so bored. Wow, he just sounds like he is not having a time here. Like he's like, yeah, and so demons have the power, but Jesus has more power, and so that's how you beat the power because his power trumps their power. Therefore, Jesus. It's like, Jesus. Wow.
Did you know that during an
Oh, hey.
exorcism, a demon can shout out unconfessed sin? This is why it's so important for those who are present for the exorcism to go to the sacrament of confession. Even Father Gabriele Amorth, the former chief exorcist in Rome, would always say that a good confession is better than an exorcism. Because when we confess our sins, we place them in the hands of God. And once we give something over to God, the devil cannot use that against us. So every confessed sin takes something away from the devil that he can use against us. You've probably heard this before about certain demons being attached in the family line.
No, I've
According
not.
to Father Lampert, it is possible for demons to
Why
get
would I
attached
think-
in the family
Okay.
line. Demons are very authoritative. If someone who has power and authority within a family gives power and the authority to demons, then they can have an attachment down through the generational lines.
The good news is
Okay. So like if your dad was like tormented by some demon or whatever, that means like the grandkid can still be being tormented by that demon. That's odd. It almost makes me think that they put that whole thing in there because like a lot of different different negative behavioral loops are passed down, sort of. They're not really passed down, but like they're more like the kids are more at risk of developing that particular behavioral loop that's like a toxic behavior, like drinking or whatever, anger issues, just like stuff like that. Like it gets passed down because the child sees it, quite often. And even if they're like, I'm never going to do that, a lot of times they end up being doing it themselves.
that generational line can be broken. Just because the devil says you made a pact and it means it's forever isn't true. People can make a pact with the devil, but that pact can be broken.
Hold on. Who's out here just making pacts with the devil? Who's doing that? That's weird, right? I mean, do they really think that there's people out there that are like, okay, devil, what the hell, man? We agreed. Like, you said that I would be a famous rock star as long as I gave you my soul, and I gave it to you and everything. I did all the little stuff, and now what? You're going back on it? Now what? Now I'm just like playing diners? Are you kidding me? This is insane. I'm gonna have to become a Catholic.
If a person says they no longer want this attachment in their lives.
I've shared an audio clip before of Father Chad Ripperger talking briefly about incubus, the sexual relation someone having with a demon. There's another exorcist, Father
What?
John Caro, speaking a little bit more in details about it.
About sex with demons? Is this really where we're going here? Because that was not indicated in the 15-word title that doesn't even get to the point.
Father Caro shared that he had people who come and tell him that they really feel attacked when they are sleeping. They feel sexually attacked. And he even admitted that these attacks really do happen. There are indeed sexual demons, incubus and succubus, who attack people in their sleep.
And I've prayed with people like that. I've blessed their room, and I said, okay. So somehow you've attracted to yourself a spirit. They're incubus spirits.
So even getting like assaulted by the spirit is somehow still the victim's fault. Like, that is impressive. They say you have attracted a succubus spirit. Wow, like that. I swear to God, like, it just sucks to be a Catholic woman. That would just be awful. Like, everything is your fault. Like, you can't even not get it. I mean, like, you can't even get attacked by demons without it being your fault somehow.
Said succubus spirits. One's a female spirit, one's a male spirit that attack people. And I've had people tell me that they felt violated. Okay. They've been involved in something of grave sin, because that invites the demon to attach himself.
Is this dude talking like this just to be? It reminds me of that part in The Princess Bride where the guy's like, "You're in the pit. Oh, you're in the pit of despair." All right. And like, it sounds like the guy's like trying to do a scary voice.
It's like pornography. A person views that, gets involved in that, then all of a sudden they can't quite turn it off. And then it's really fascinating. Then they go to confession. They find it much easier to say. It's not as compelling. I definitely believe with pornography, with some drugs, with some music, that there are demons associated with that. When I went to the International Exorcist Conference in Rome one time, they had a few cases of people who had been part of heavy metal and part of the drug cartel.
Well, that's just two for that's 2 for 2 right there. I mean, like, bad music and drugs, demons. I mean, that's just so
they would
obvious.
Bring in Satanists to curse their music and the drugs to make it more addictive.
What? Like, you don't need to do that with drugs, man. They're drugs, okay? You don't have to satanically bless drugs to make them fucking addictive. Like, crack's just addictive, man. Like,
so not only is a person dealing with a chemical dependency or music,
it's a spiritual.
But there's now actually a demon associated.
Oh, damn, that would have been
Father Caro.
Totally should have worded it the way I just did and said, now there's a spiritual dependency, because that would have sounded more like cool.
Also talked a little bit about the demonic hour. There's a guy who's attending his church. He's attending.
Is there an exorcist con? I mean, all exorcists are cons, right? I mean, it's like, on some level, I would say, right? But definitely, like, some of them for sure, I'd say. Maybe there are some that actually do believe this utterly stupid, ridiculous shit, but maybe some of them don't and are just messing with people. Randolph said, "Of course there is. There's money to be made." Taken, yeah, in parentheses. Yep, exactly, right.
Attending mass regularly, and he's also coming to confession regularly as well. One day, the guy and Father Caro were talking, and he said, "Father, I don't sleep real well these days. I have a lot of problems with my sleep." He told Father Caro that something wakes him up at 3 in the morning all the time.
Because Jesus dies at 3 o'clock during the day, the demon has claimed an hour of its own.
So what the fuck? I've never heard that one. So Jesus died at 3 in the afternoon? And because he died at 3 in the afternoon, demons have to do 3 a.m. because then they're like, that's a fuck you to Jesus. Okay,
he likes to do a lot of stuff at that time. Okay. And you can confession lots of times to me, and I go, but let's be honest. Is there anything you've never really confessed that's on your soul?
Doesn't this sound, I mean, I know they're not supposed to like do this, but I swear that, like, especially this right here, what they're doing, where they're saying you need to confess more. It just reminds me so much of the what is it? Scientologist. The Scientology, where they would like make you basically share stuff that you don't want anyone to share, secrets, right? And they said they don't even have to be true. They just need you on films sharing the secret so that they can use it against you later. And that just sounds like what this guy is trying to do. He's trying to coax from like, well, what did you do to deserve this? So I mean, just, hey, look, clearly you deserve this. Can you just tell me what you did? Well, then tell me something that you haven't told me before. It's like, okay.
Because that's where evil will get his claws into you. And he takes a deep breath. And he finally kind of admits to me, yeah, well, he turns this, I've tried to kill myself a couple times. You can see that slash marks. Well, that's a serious sin.
Mm-hmm.
Try, kill God's creation.
Where is that in the Bible, man? Like, I know that the Catholics like turned it into like a big thing because they got people so convinced that their religion was super duper true, and a whole bunch of people are like, okay, well then why can't we just exit out of this crap show of a life and world if we can go straight to heaven? A bunch of people started committing suicide. And they're like, oh, hold on, we're gonna have to make suicide a sin because these people are just too convinced this stuff's real. Like, I mean, it's morbid, but it is still kind of funny because if you think about it, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you? Like, according to your own theology, you're supposed to be looking forward to death. And so then people do that and you're like, oh shit, that's a sin. Like, yeah, that's a sin.
Wow. I go, and you've never confessed that all these years. He goes, yeah. So you're ready to ask forgiveness for that? Yeah. Okay. So I go through confession. Comes back a few days later, says, I sleep like a baby now. Don't be keeping stuff buried in there. If we live a good...
I mean, if he is telling the truth, I doubt it. It's probably completely fabricated. But if there is any truth to this, I think it's just like this could easily be solved by a therapist, maybe. Because that's probably who you should go to. If you're talking about issues with committing suicide and stuff like that, you should be talking to a mental health professional. Like, you don't want to be talking to some dude, in a box, that's convincing you that it's because magic monsters are getting into you. Like, that's not helpful.
Good moral life. It's very, very rare that those people I see knocking on my door saying, I think I got a serious spiritual problem.
For the next clip is rather frightening, really,
all
come to think of it. Father Caro shared his experience from an exorcism where the demon told him if people hate enough, it can become a curse.
I love how they played the clip of like some guy just waltzing through the center. Hold on. It's just waltzing through.
Clip is rather frightening.
He's talking.
Really,
he's mid-sentence.
Father Caro shared his experience from an exorcism
where
the demon told him if people hate enough, it can become a curse. And the demons are going to be more than happy to help you facilitate that. Here, let me share the clip with you.
Okay.
I was praying over a person, and I had a chatty demon. Every once in a while, there are chatty demons at church.
They just talk about it like it's so normal. This demon was particularly chatty. They're not normally like that, Sometimes they're actually the strong silent type, and
strongly forbids us from having a conversation with them. I'm allowed to ask certain questions, but in this praying, he said something.
So they're not. He's not allowed to have a conversation with them, but he is allowed to ask certain questions. What kind of, which questions specific? Like, where do you get this information? What is he talking about? Like, where is this in the Bible or anything like that? Like, make sure that you don't have a conversation with demons unless it's, of course, these very particular questions. I mean, that's mentioned in Timothy, obviously. Like, what are you talking about? Also, what is this? What is this picture? Like, is this from... This looks like some sort of fan fiction from a D&D game or something like that. Some like the Witch of Sheer Forest or some shit. I don't know. But it just seems really odd and out of place here.
It just stopped me, guys. If people hate enough, it can become a curse. So the essence, from what I took that, the essence, the deep nut in a curse is tremendous hate. How often do we...
Don't say deep nut in a curse. Like, just don't do that. Just say any other turn of phrase there. Just anything else. Come on, man.
If we're not careful, let hate become too strong in us. That we wish upon someone else that something really bad would happen to them. Oh, demons are going to come running to help you facilitate that. And now all you need is the internet. Oh yeah, Chris.
They just come to help you facilitate that. Like, what is happening?
It's my landlord. Chris, my ex-boyfriend, Chris. My ex. Yeah, you could go online and find stuff that's, shall we say, legitimate. A lot of people are playing that stuff and they don't know what they're doing, but there's stuff on the internet that, oh yeah, these people know what they're doing. And they know how to teach people how to do some wicked, wicked stuff.
What?
You've probably read about or
That
watched
guy
the
is the
church
creep.
or exorcism.
That dude sounds like the creepiest nut job I've ever heard of, man. That is like, that's the guy at the bus stop, but like 10 times creepier. You know what I mean?
Talking about Harry Potter before. One of them is Father Dan Rehill, who said that these books present magic as both good and evil, which is not true, but in fact a clever deception. The curses and spells used in the books are actual curses and spells, which when read by a human being risk conjuring evil spirits into the presence of the
remember
person
this.
reading the text.
Hold on. I remember that. They were like, yeah, the curses that are in the Harry Potter books, they're real curses. Like, you can actually use that on your friends. Like, it's like, then why isn't that like kids get like, there's no of course now I can't think of what the thing he says. Like he like shouts something like, and kids play that shit all the time. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt. Like, they shout that little phrase or whatever. No, with their little stick and everything. Nobody gets hurt. It's almost as if it's not real curses. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost as if it's all made up. And you guys just want people to be afraid of Harry Potter for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why.
Curses and spells included in the best-selling books, which were published between 1997 and 2007, include Avada Kedavra, The Killing Curse, Crucio, The Torture Curse, and Imperio,
Where
which
are these
allows the
from?
wizards to control others' actions. And in the next clip, Father Carell shares the same opinion as well.
It's the same clip of the guy walking and past him in front. It's so weird. Why would they choose that?
Let's hear what he said about the books.
Now, I remember reading all Harry Potter's books, and I've seen all of them.
Wait, this guy read all of them? That's weird. Okay. And he was just like, yep, that's a real curse right there. See that? That's in the true Latin. Like, what?
Ask you this question. Where is God in all of that? He
What?
does not.
It's a fairy tale land, man. Like, I mean, it's very similar to your beliefs, but like, it's a different world than the real world because it's a fantasy. That's how fantasy works.
Exist in Harry Potter. There are.
It's so weird when religious people say that, like, it's so weird to me that like people use this, like, basically saying you didn't mention my specific God as some sort of like fail and some sort of like evil thing that the art is doing, like that they're like Lord of the Rings is purposefully like hating on Christians narratively by not mentioning that their God is in charge of everything in Middle Earth. Like, it's really strange how they do that.
Wizards and witches, and there are bad wizards and witches. And so you can pick up a wand that you can control spiritual power. I think that's really dangerous because then kids
So weird.
want mom and dad to buy them a wand. But here's the thing. The curses.
Yeah, I know. I did put it up on Twitter. Responding to Randolph, he said, "Brentley Live. I just promoted this live stream video." Oh, he just okay because I did it once up there too. I really appreciate it. I hope it brings some in. It just seems Twitter just kind of sucks these days, right? I don't know. It just seems like it's sort of lost its whole thing. Like, I just get zero engagement anymore. Like, whereas I used to like be able to have full conversations with people that weren't just where I wasn't like questioning if this was an actual person or a troll bot the entire time. You know what I mean? And now I assume pretty much that anybody that interacts with anybody, one of the two is absolutely some troll bot, thing. I don't know. Because like, it just seems the stuff that these things are saying, whatever these tweet threads, they just completely make no sense. And half the time it's just like somebody saying hurtful stuff just over and over again. It's just really weird. So I tend to like not put stuff up on Twitter as much, but I hope so. I hope maybe there's something, maybe you figured out something about Twitter that I haven't, because it just does not seem to be working well for me lately. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just my account and I'm not using it right or something, because that does happen with certain algorithms.
In Harry Potter are real curses. They're not made up. They're not made up curses. The lady that wrote that.
Hey, buddy. All curses are made up.
Admits that she auto wrote that she was just inspired. She used to write in a coffee house because she was poor and she couldn't pay for the heat in London. And she said she just wrote it like it was automatic.
Where, okay,
teacher, well-
hold on, but where are you getting your curses from? Because I'm pretty sure the Bible does not include, oh, and here's the curses in the actual Latin in the book there. I'm pretty sure it doesn't say that. So where are you getting the curses from? Because wherever you are getting your curses from, you are clearly applying them to what she said, if what you're saying about what she said is true. And I don't know, because it would seem to me that it would make more sense for her to actually look up real curses, and saying just things in Latin makes sense. Like that's sort of, I don't know, maybe that's just a trope as far as I understand it. But I've been seeing, curses in Latin in movies for God, I don't even know how long. How old is The Exorcist?
It's actually a principal of a school told me, I don't understand why this is so popular because it's not that good literature, but it's just flying off the shelves. So I kind of wonder about what's behind
It's not
that.
that good literature.
Because there's no
I've had people vehemently disagree on that. Okay, now I'm going to be honest. I've never read the books, but I did. I did, binge the movies at one point with Nikki. We like watched all whatever it was, fucking 9 or whatever it is, like the Fast and Furious fantasy. But I never read the books. But as far as like the movies, like the way that they work through their narrative structure and everything, I thought it was pretty good as far as like how the narrative works, and then building it all up and kind of sort of defeating the bad guy, and then he gets more powerful, and then he gets, and you keep doing that until the end is the big bad battle, like basically like the end game of Harry Potter or whatever. Like it was good. I thought it was well done as far as like it was well written, but it's funny because they have to attribute some sort of, well, this should not be selling as well as it is. It's got to be the demons, and that's what they're doing.
God in that.
How the devil works is it's like progression. We get him to do something, and we're going to be.
What is this? What? Why does this feel racist? This feels really racist. I don't know what about I don't know what race it is racist against, but it's racist. I don't know what it is. It's this is a magic floating Buddha demon. So I guess anti-Asian, but that definitely looks like a Buddha. Like it looks like a Buddha thing that they added horns onto. Like they were just like, let's just add this up there, and hey, look at that now, a demon. It's a demon now. Like that's freaky.
Fascinated by what is done. Then the devil's going to want to raise the game in something else. He's going to want us to get interested in this whole spiritual thing that he's going to hand you something. But you're also going to have to.
I mean, isn't that what you guys are doing too? You're trying to get people interested in this whole spiritual thing. It's just very specifically a spiritual thing. Like it's your specific thing.
Give him something. And down the rabbit hole we go. If by any chance any of you are thinking of starting a deliverance ministry.
Hold on. See, this is what I'm talking about. Look how ridiculous. What is happening here? Is he like he's spraying? Is Jesus spitting here? What's happening? How is he spitting out of his hand? Is that hand blood? What is happening here? And why does it look like another Jesus is laying down? And then this priest here is like dancing. He's like doing some sort of like handy dance. While these old pictures are just, they're fascinating. They're to say that. And then these demons are great. There's like a gargoyle, like a couple gargoyles, it looks like. I guess they're all sort of gargoyles, but that one looks sort of like reptilian. This one looks sort of like a bit more mammalian. Another reptilian one hiding back there. And that one's just a dog. It's just a dog, and it's I don't know.
You know what you have to do first and foremost. The most important thing that you have to do before you start a deliverance ministry is to have the support of a local bishop.
Damn, they have so much just Catholic stock footage of just priest reads Bible. It's like they bought up all the stock footage on the page. It's just priest reads Bible. That's
your parish priest
in charge.
Because if one is going to confront any type of demonic demons, demonic activity, it's important to know.
Don't say demonic demons. Don't call them that. I mean, it sounds redundant, if not anything else. It is redundant. Demonic demon. I almost want to make a comment called that the demonic demons. It's like, that's awesome. Jeez,
Know that
Louise.
you're operating with the church and the power and the authority that go with the church.
As opposed to the angelic demons, I guess. That's
Father Lampert was asked about this during a question and answer session, and he warned those present that if someone begins to attack the devil, guess what the devil will do to you? He will attack you as well, because the devil knows who's working to defeat him, and he will attack those involved in deliverance and even exorcism ministry itself.
Sometimes people are well-intentioned. They believe that someone's afflicted by a demon, and they begin to pray over them. I had someone who came to see me and said that they were afflicted. A group of people began to pray over him. A demon manifested, and what did the people do? They were terrified and they ran out the door.
Oh,
It's the worst thing you
just leaving a demon out there just manifested. And it's like, oh shit, I'm here now. Okay, well, I'm just gonna leave because everybody else left. So now I'm free to go.
can do is to actually cause a demon to manifest during a deliverance session and then run away in fear. So people involved in a deliverance ministry have the support of your bishop, your pastor, should be someone who's really connected with the sacramental life of the church, going to confession on a regular basis, people who have a spiritual director. So again, you have to make sure.
So all the things that your church basically sells for money, make sure you've got one of them around. That's what it seems like.
That you're truly taking care of yourself so that you can be on firm and solid ground. Because if someone begins to attack the devil, guess what the devil will do to you? He will attack you as well. Because the devil knows who's working to defeat him, and he will attack those involved in deliverance and even exorcism ministry itself.
I mean, isn't that kind of like telling them not to do the thing in general? It's like, hey, don't ever try to call out the devil because then he'll attack you back, and he's got you all figured out, and he can manipulate your mind and stuff. I don't know.
I really like what Father Lampert shared in the next clip. The notion of holiness and virtue really goes a long way, and that's really a key ingredient in anyone involved in combating demons. You cannot combat demons if you are in a state of sin. The devil cannot be divided. He cannot be cast out if someone is in a state of sin. That's why it's important for the exorcist to go to confession.
What does that mean, in a state?
The Catholic Church says,
in a state of sin? What is that? What's that state look like? Like you just did it 2 minutes ago? Or like you haven't, so in other words, you've done a sin thing that you haven't asked for forgiveness for or confessed?
That sacraments are always efficacious, regardless of the charism of the priest. Maybe the priest is a bad guy, but if he does a wedding, they're still married. If he does a baptism, still baptized, celebrates Mass, it's still the body and blood of Christ. But that's not true in an exorcism. If a priest is in a state of sin, the devil does not have to pay any attention.
Oh, so, okay, all those other magic things don't matter. Like you can be in a state of sin if you're the priest and still do. You can lead people in pretending to cannibalize Jesus by drinking his blood and eating his flesh. Totally a normal thing for people to do, by the way, just, pretending to cannibalize. And I don't even like now. Oh, baptism, dripping water on babies. I guess that's still magic water, whatever. All that stuff works. But when it comes to, exorcising the devil, you gotta be, you gotta basically have just confessed 2 seconds ago to literally everything. You got to be just like, look, Jesus, anything I can't think of, just know that right now I'm asking forgiveness for it, even if I can't muster up the image of it in my mind. Just forgive me for it, okay? Like, as long as you do that, then the devil can't get you. It's like, geez.
We had a priest come into the archdiocese.
Randolph said that guy was trying to write something down, but all those women kept picking up his other hand and kissing it. Wow, a priest's work must be so difficult. Exactly. That's awesome.
Of Indianapolis to do an exorcism without the permission of the archbishop. He was doing the exorcism in southern Indiana. The demon manifested.
So wait, so you have to get permission too from the archbishop, because I guess the whole thing is all it's a very structured level of superiority there, and so if you don't get permission from the but not the regular bishop, the archbishop, he's basically like Michael but in human form as a bishop, you know what I mean?
And guess what the demon said to him? Who are you? Who are you? We recognize the authority of the local bishop, but who are you? You have no authority here. We
So
don't have to pay.
okay, so this is directly pulling from a particular Bible verse, where they said like false teachers. I can't remember where it is in the Bible either, but I just remember like false teachers were basically running around doing these exorcists, right? These exorcisms, right? And there was this one particularly tough demon in the Bible, right? And he was like, they went there and they were like, hey, you know, in the name of Jesus and Paul, we exorcise you or whatever. And the demons responded and they're like, Jesus, we definitely know about, and Paul, we've heard of, but who the hell are you? And then they like, I think beat him up real bad and stripped him naked and kicked him outside or something. I think that's the same one. But that's kind of what he's playing off of here. I don't know. He might mention it. I don't know.
Pay any attention to what you say. He realized he had made an error. He stopped, sought permission of the archbishop, who said, well, you've been working with that person. You can continue.
Oh,
then
now
he told me to be involved as.
So wait a second. So the demon was like, hold on, man. Do you have permission to be kicking me out? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, I actually don't have permission to be, you know, yanking demons out of people. Okay. I better call up the archbishop. And the demon's like, yeah, because I don't even have to listen to you, buddy. And then the archbishop is like, you got it, man. It's cool. Hey, I didn't know you were doing that, but I do now. And totes my goats. You go ahead and do what you got to do, bro. And then the demon's like, shit. Well, now I gotta. Why did I tell him? Why did I clue him into that? I shouldn't have clued him in. Now I gotta leave.
As well. So again, demons are very authoritative, and they also don't have to respond if we are being disobedient or in a state of sin.
Someone commented.
See, this is that. I hate it when they show these pictures because this was such a tragedy. They killed this lady. They killed this young woman. And it was like, it's the exorcism of Emily Rose. It's that movie. I can't remember what her actual name was, but they killed that young lady. They pulled her off of her meds. She was clearly having extreme mental issues, and you know, night terrors and stuff. And they killed her. They pulled her off all of her meds and they started throwing holy water at her. And yeah, surprise, surprise. When you take people off of all their meds, bad things tend to happen. And they did. She did. She ended up dying, I think, of malnutrition or something. Like it was really, really tragic. And they're always putting these pictures up here to be like, oh, the demons are totes real because look how messed up this lady looks. And it's really she's just like beaten up. She looks like she's been beaten up and sleep deprived and food, like they're not and starved, and it looks like that's what they did. And then they put these pictures up. See, demon, totally a demon. Like, you fucking pieces of shit.
In one of the videos in this channel before, asking what happens to a person's soul if they die while possessed. And I replied, I cannot give you an answer to a question I do not know. But I promise that person.
Well, the last time I was killed while I was possessed. Right? So let's see what happened to me there. I went to hell, but then, he sent me back and it got a big cape and he gave me hell powers. And yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, got it from Malboja. Yeah.
And I'll search it for him. And I finally found it. And just so happens that Father Lampert is the one who has the answer.
Well, the person's soul always remains free. And when someone dies, because the connection is physical, then that connection will come to an end. So something of the person always remains free. Sometimes people will say, if one is possessed, how could they ask for help? Well, again, the part that remains free can't ask for the help of the church. And if somebody dies, then certainly the connection between that.
Yeah. So they're having to rationalize around the fact that someone's like, no, I need help. And then they split into another personality or whatever. And they're like, well, that's the real them is the one that's asking for help. And then the other one is like the demon or whatever. I mean, this is literally like ancient mental health stuff that we know for a fact now is not true. In so many ways, it's like they're taking the ancient evaluation of what mental health problems were, and are basically still doing this shit to this day. They're still like telling delusional people that their delusions are probably true. Just so you know, they're probably, you probably got demons. That's great. That's great to tell that to somebody with mental health problems. That doesn't mess anything up at all.
Person and the demon will end as well.
There was one interview where Father Lampert received a question from an atheist.
Oh, let's see here. Okay.
Apparently, this atheist enjoyed listening to music with satanic themes. He said, "I don't believe in demons or the devil, but if it was real, why haven't I been haunted or negatively affected?"
Okay, so they're trying to get ahead of but atheists are never, ever possessed problem of their of their whole thing being true. It's like, yeah, the more bad that you are, the more possessed you get, unless you're atheist. Then they're just they've already got you, so they don't need you. All right, you got to be a Christian, not doing what it's like very specific, like because which it makes no sense, because like either you have one or you don't, because you're saying if you're doing bad things, then the demons like have more control over you. Well, an atheist is doing the worst things and they have no control over them, and then they're like, oh well, if he's already got you, that's what matters. But then they'll also say, but the blood of Jesus, if you just say the word Jesus, then you're completely protected. So it's like, okay, then why are any possessions ever happening ever? Because if you're a Christian, you can just say Jesus and they have to flee. But if you're an atheist, they don't bother with you. So you don't, because they've already got your soul or whatever, so they don't even have to bother. So then why does anybody ever get exorcised ever? And the secret is they're basically just like, yeah, they don't. That's our answer for why they don't happen anymore. Until things like this, and then they bounce back and forth between those two explanations.
I would say that the demon has nothing to gain from that.
See, yeah.
If the person doesn't believe in the devil or evil spirits, then the devil would have them exactly where he wants them to be, in disbelief. So it would be the case, is the devil going to attack somebody that's really devout or unbelief? You could say that if the devil has already won somebody over, then there's really no reason to attack them. The devil is going to really go after them.
And if they're a Christian and like have the power of Jesus, then they can't attack them, leaving the devil literally no one to attack. It's stupid.
He still stands to gain something from. And I don't mean that to be negative or critical of somebody who's an atheist. That's just my perspective on that.
Yeah.
That if,
of course, no, it's just because of your reverence for atheists that you would say something like that.
the person really doesn't believe, then the devil has nothing to gain from that person. Because if the devil were to scare them, then that fear might lead them into a relationship with God. And certainly the devil wouldn't want that.
That's just so convenient. And I love that. They're like, well, hey, man, demons can't, because if they do, they might scare you right into being a Christian, And that's why people that are only already scared of demons happen to interact with them ever. Yeah, okay, buddy, sure.
So I would say the devil is happy with the person where they are.
In another interview, Father Lampert recounted his experience during one exorcism in Rome, where the demon was pretending to have left the possessed victim in the hope that the priests in the room would stop praying. It's great to know how powerful prayer.
They're so tricky, they're tricksy. Those demons, they're trying to pretend. They're like, hey, I'm no longer possessed anymore. You got me. Oh boy. Never mind. I'm just kidding. Gotcha.
Really are, and I think sometimes we tend to overlook this aspect of our spiritual lives. How painful it is for demons to be around us when we lead the lives that God intends for us spiritually.
But during the time I was there,
what?
I was on a sabbatical program. So that was the amount of time that I had to go and be with him 2 or 3 days a week. He literally would have 50 or 60 people at a time gathered in a courtyard outside of his office. Some had appointments, some didn't. They were just hoping to get an opportunity to visit with him. But in one of those exorcisms, the demon stopped manifesting, and it gave the impression that the consciousness of the individual was now back. And Father Carmine, the priest who trained me, he was aware that he was trying to be duped because the person's voice was their own. It sounded like their voice and said, "I'm okay now. Thank you for what you've done for me. The demon is now gone. There's no need for you to continue to pray. You can stop
It's like, you can just go ahead now. You're good. You got me. Okay, go ahead and leave now. Please leave. Please leave. Okay. Like,
praying now.
So
you can stop praying. I said you could stop praying." And then Father Carmine reached over and took some holy water and blessed the person again. And then the demon manifested and goes, "I told you to stop praying."
Why wouldn't you just listen to me when I said to stop praying? God.
So he knew
Weird
that the demon was trying to deceive him into believing that it had been cast out. And I think exorcist over time, the more you do the ministry, you gain more knowledge about whether or not true deliverance has taken place at a particular time or not.
How do you know though? How do you know when it's what is going on here? Okay. There's a red Care Bear, I guess, fighting like alongside of Lionel over here, and I don't even know what the fuck is going on with this. It's just a cartoon of a gargoyle, and they're all sick. Oh, and Goliath from that show Gargoyles. I mean, that's just multiple cartoons have come together here, and this guy too. I don't know. How weird. What a weird choices for what demons would look like. Like, they look delightful. Like, I would play with these demons, honestly. They seemed like a lot of fun, especially this one, like a little gold lion thing. It's cute, you know.
For the last two highlights in this video, I'll first share this about why the church do not want us to command demons except for these trained exorcists.
So only the exorcist should be giving commands to demons. But again, the other part would be those supplicating prayers.
Who else is doing this? Are they saying like other people? Oh, is this like in retaliation or just in response to those like I've covered a couple of them. Well, there's like YouTube videos where people will be like, "Here's how to get demons out of yourself." Okay, and then like halfway through, they're like, "You can't get demons out of yourself. You got to have somebody else there, bro. Like it's just not. You can." And they feel like, "Oh no, you can't do it initially. You can do the upkeep after the." After the demons have got the other guy got the demons out of you, then you can keep the maintenance work done. And then you can just keep on, But as far as initially getting the demons out, not capable of doing that, I guess.
Prayers that address to God that anyone could do. And in the ritual itself, there are examples of these prayers that are directed to God. God, see how your servant is suffering. Come to their aid and deliver them from the evil that's afflicting them.
No, the Pope is not the Antichrist, and the devil special. I don't know, but no, the Pope is not the Antichrist. It's pretty funny. That's a pretty funny little.
Us can say that, but to say to the demon, "I command you, I bind you," the church says we really need to be not doing that because we could be getting ourselves into trouble. Even Cardinal Ratzinger, the future Benedict XVI, in the mid-1980s cautioned against prayers to God, which anyone may say, and commands to demons, which are reserved to the bishop or the priest. He is authorized to give those commands.
Okay.
I would say that there's some people.
It's so weird. And they're like, "Oh no, you got to have the special magic powers in order to give the special magic words. You can't just say, 'Hey, demon, you better not do stuff,' or whatever in the name of Jesus." Like, you can't say that unless you've been to what theology school. Yet, keep in mind that theology and like being a preacher or a pastor or any of this stuff is so. It requires nothing. It requires no actual knowledge of anything of any kind whatsoever. There's no actual it's not like a doctor where you need like certain information in order to be able to do surgeries and things like that and what kind of medications. Like this is all made up stuff. Everything he's talking about here is made up, right? And so you don't need any credentials whatsoever to be able to be a priest or anything like that. So there's nothing that distinguishes them from anybody else, but they want you to still go through all that schooling and everything. So that's why I think they're pushing for like, hey, you got to make sure you're an actual bishop and all this stuff that's had all this education and everything in order to exorcise the demons. And that makes people like, it's like a little kid wanting to be a cop. They're like, "Oh, cool. If I just do this, then I can go be a demon hunter." All right, well, that's what I'm doing then. Like, it's just funny.
Well, that would say that they have the right to give those commands by virtue of their baptism. But again, if you're trying to defeat evil by being disobedient to the local bishop, disobedience and fighting the devil don't go hand in hand. A recipe for disaster.
Okay.
And finally, about animal infestation by the demonic. We've seen it in the Bible with the swine. So it does
Oh my
happen,
gosh.
and it can happen.
Animal possession would be
Well, holy shit. Well, I was just about to wrap it right there, but now I can't. Now I can't because we have to find out what's the deal with animal possession. Shit.
infestation.
All right.
So that would be under the category a location, an object, or it would be even an animal. So an animal would be an infestation because obviously the animal isn't doing anything to invite the demon in.
Well, how do you know? Maybe they're looking at little animal porn. You don't know. You don't know. Maybe they're drawing little animal pentagrams on the floor and doing rituals with candles and stuff. You don't know. What if they're doing that? What if your dog's doing that?
So it comes about because in the example of Jesus sending the demons into the swine,
Oh,
that's what God,
that's why we were able to make up this whole part is because of that one part of the Bible, and that's what we're doing here.
permitted. And it could happen because maybe somebody is using an animal in some type of satanic ritual or practice.
Well,
What?
that is all.
Who's doing that? Who's using the dog in in some sort of ritualistic fashion? Like, okay, you go around and light all the candles and make sure you hold my hand while we do. Like, what do you want? Like, how does that even work? Are they just in the room? Like, what are they? Are you taking the dog on a walk also while you're doing the demon thing? Like,
for this video. As much as I love sharing what I found from listening to these hours and hours of lectures and interviews with all of you, I am learning about all these things while making this video too. So I really do hope you've learned a lot from this video. For those of you who'd like to make a donation towards what I do, especially...
No, all right. But if you want to make a donation towards what I do, you can go to adamandeve.com and enter code word BRENTLY to check out, and you can get 3 free gifts, 6 free movies, and 50% off almost any item, and free shipping on the whole order. So definitely head out to adamandeve.com and enter code word BRENTLY. That's BRENTLY at checkout, and get your exclusive offer today. Get your butt some stuff. You know, that's what I always say. So thanks for watching, y'all. And if you wanna support the show in another way, you can check out the Unapologetics podcast. Spelled with an X. It's like unapologetic, but with an X instead of a C. You can check that out, and you can go to Patreon. You get extra content if you do that. Just go to patreon.com/unapologetics, spelled like how I just said. And share the show around. You know, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Yeah, that would be great. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody that's takes the time to hang out, because we have fun. Okay, that's what we do. We have fun, and that's what we do. We have fun. I'm just repeating this. I'm just keep on repeating. So stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate. And we'll see you next time.